Hey friends, today on Gardening with Creekside, we are going to have some fun because we are going to put some annuals in the ground. That is right. I am going to go ahead and take the plunge and I'm going to start adding some cool weather tolerant annuals into the garden. Now, we are in North Carolina. We are Zone 7B. We are in Dallas, North Carolina, which is just west of Charlotte, to give you a little bit of a reference of where we are. And yes, it is officially spring on the calendar, but it has also turned spring-like weather here. So I am cautiously confident in adding these sweet annuals into the ground. Again, I am going to be using annuals that can take some cooler temperatures because I am sure that there will be more nights that dip down into some low temperatures. These can handle it. And again, I'm not going crazy. I'm not adding them to everywhere in my garden. So if I do have to cover these, then that will be okay. I can handle it. Where we're going to add these, it's going to be really fun. So right here in front of the fountain, you can see I've got some trays set up. We're going to do a fun little kind of a tiered planting in front of the fountain and then sweeping around right here where the David Austin roses are, where the jonquils are finishing up. Then we're going to plant some of the Petunia Mini Vista Indigo. So we're going to do like this big carpet of the same color of plant right here. Yesterday, so today is Monday, yesterday was Sunday afternoon. Of course, Sunday is a day of rest for us. We just take it easy, go to church, come back and just try to relax. But by the afternoon, it was a gorgeous day and I just had a little bit of an itch in me. So I went ahead and came out here and prepped the land for us to plant this morning. So what did I do? Well, what I did is we really enjoy the Sungrow products. Sungrow, like the black gold. If you've been following us, we use the Sungrow professional mixes when we plant all of our plants. So whether it's an annual, perennial, or a shrub, we use the Sungrow products. They are wonderful. The retail line is black gold, and they make a lot of really great products to amend your soil. So what we did is went ahead, Jerry joined me, and we added some of their ultra outdoor planting mix to this area. We know that this space is going to be an area where we're going to have annuals. We rotate annuals in and out. The only thing that's really going to be a perennial that stays for me are, I have some jonquils right here, and so they will stay. Everything else, we're going to move this into a annual bed. We did have some salvias here last year. We had Play in the Blues salvia and some guara. It just got huge. It really overtook my roses. It was gorgeous and it was exquisite. This was a gardener's fault that I underestimated how big and vigorous they were going to be, and they really impeded the growth on my roses. So we're going to switch and we're going to go to some low growing annuals using that. By having the planting mix in this space, it's nice and thick because your annuals are very heavy feeders, right? Because they have a short window of time to be all that they can be, and so they put everything into that beautiful growth, foliage, flowers for a relatively short season, right? Spring, summer, early fall, as opposed to a perennial that goes for years. So by amending the soil with really nice nutrient-rich that planting mix, which is meant to amend the soil, then these annuals are going to do great. We have used this in other areas at the nursery. When we did the sunflower bed last year down at the nursery, we used this, planted in it, and the plants did amazing, and we did not have to fertilize nearly as much as if we used just straight native soil. So that's why you're going to see probably a little bit of a color variation. It is not my traditional red clay right there. It is a nice, rich, organic. It has compost. It has aged pine bark fines. It has all sorts of wonderful, nutrient-rich minerals, vitamins for these plants. So what plants am I going to use? Well, I am so glad you asked. Let me tell you what I'm going to use. First off, I already kind of spilled the beans on this. What I'm going to use in front of the David Austin roses is one of my favorite flowers, and I know I say that a lot, but I have so many favorite flowers. This is the Petunia Mini Vista Indigo. Mini Vistas are wonderful to add to your garden because, and especially in a bit of a tight space like this, that they will spread, but they're not going to be nearly as vigorous as a Vista. They would be gorgeous, but I want to be a little bit more contained, so I'm using the mini vistas. Now, you will notice probably that I have really kind of two different size plants here. Same plant, Mini Vista Indigo. This is one that was growing, was one that we planted up the earliest. And in my opinion, it's getting a little leggy. Leggy means that you have this extra growth coming out here. We want it a little bit tighter. Petunias, your super bells, your super petunias, they bloom on new growth. So you want to keep them more a little bit tight and compact so that they don't get too airy, too leggy, too open, too spacey looking, right? So you can come in, and in fact, it's really good to trim and prune back your petunias. This one has already been done. Nice and tight and really nice and compact. Can you plant this in the ground? Absolutely. There is nothing wrong with it. I just personally, as a grower, like mine a little bit tighter. That way they grow nice and tight, nice and full of flowers. But I just wanted to take this opportunity to show you the difference in one that's a little bit more open and, in my opinion, a little leggy, one that is nice and tight. So I'm going to start with the nice tight ones, and then if I need some more, then I will come to the ones that are a little bit more open, and then I will trim those. Now, the Super Petunia Mini Vistas, again, they are fantastic plants. You can use them in containers, in hanging baskets, in the landscape. Wonderful. I love Mini Vista Indigo because it will have, one, just that beautiful, rich indigo color, which will look great. It'll be a great complement color to my David Austins, which are a peach, a white, and a soft yellow. So this color will complement really nicely on it. They are considered full to part sun plants. They need the sun in order to produce the flowers. So at a minimum, 5 hours of sun. Here, they're going to get all day sun, sun up to sundown. I mean, probably on, in the height of the summer, 12, 13 hours of sun or more. They will do great. Again, containers or landscape, either one. Petunias are vigorous feeders. They are heavy feeders. You need to feed them in order for them to go ahead and to produce their blooms. So what we did is we amended that soil really nicely. I am going to use my Proven Winners time release fertilizer, shake it in the ground, and then, because that is released by temperature, it gives you, for me, I have found, because we have high temperatures, it lasts for about 3 months before I will need to reapply it. And then, of course, I'll use my water-soluble fertilizer from Proven Winners to encourage nice, dark green, healthy growth and those beautiful flowers that we love. It is going to be about 6 to 12 inches tall. In the landscape, it'll go more towards 12 inches tall. The spacing is anywhere from 12 inches to 18 inches. Since I want a really nice, thick carpet, I am going to go more on the 12-inch side. If you want to see individual mounds, space them out further. And then you don't have to deadhead these. I love that about the Proven Winner Super Petunias. No deadheading is required. Probably, maybe, if I need to prune these, it may be about mid to late June where I could come in and give them a little haircut. If they start getting thin or not as nice and tight, give them a little haircut and they will rejuvenate. So that is going in front of the roses, and then in front of the fountain. Oh, it's going to be gorgeous. Okay, so in front of the fountain, I am going to do a collection of plants. We're going to start with my tallest in the back, and we're going to come down and graduate to my shortest. Of course, we have the unique stone fountain back here. Behind the unique stone fountain, I have 3 hydrangeas. I have 2 of the little lime punches, and then I have a pufferfish in the middle. So we're going to have nice, beautiful, white, nice, big hydrangea blooms on it. Then we have the fountain in the middle, which is kind of the showpiece. It is the center of the garden. And then what we're going to do in the back, we have the Artist Blue Ageratum. This is a gorgeous plant, really nice, pretty blue that will complement my Mini Vista Indigos really nicely. It's a little bit of a different shade, a little bit of a lighter shade, but this will be really nice in the back. It will get 8 to 12 inches tall. So this is going to be my tallest out of the 3. Again, not crazy tall because I don't want to hide my fountain, right? That's a really nice centerpiece for my garden. I don't want to hide it, so I don't want to go anything that's like, 2 or 3 feet tall. Nice and short, but this is going to be my tallest. The requirements on it is full to part sun, just like my Mini Vista. So it'll be you need at least 5 hours to get your beautiful flowers. My spacing is 10 to 12 inches. I'll play around with it, but I'm gonna kind of pack them in there a little bit. So I'm gonna go more on that 10-inch side than the 12 because again, I want nice coverage in there. And as everything else, you want to fertilize for best results. And it is, of course, great not only spring, summer, and fall interest. You do not have to deadhead, but really nice, beautiful, beautiful plant that is going to be in the back. Now we're going to do a little switcheroo here. In the middle, we're going to go back with another Super Petunia Mini Vista. So this is the brand new one this year, one of the 3 brand new ones. Mini Vista Yellow, a nice, beautiful yellow petunia. For me, it does tend to go a little bit more on the chartreuse side, not like a lemon yellow. So just full disclosure, but it is a, oh, there we have a little bumblebee, wanted to come see my plants. Really nice, nice yellow. Again, it will tie in beautifully with my yellow David Austin roses. That's the Poet's Wife. So we have some nice soft colors that all tie in really nicely together. This will spread, basically your requirements are the characteristics are going to be the same as the Mini Vista Indigo, 6 to 12 inches tall, full to part sun. That minimum spacing is 12 inches. That is what I will do because I want to have a nice carpet of yellow in front of my Artist Blue Ageratum. And then finally, my front is going to be an alyssum. This is a sweet alyssum. This is Snow Princess, and Snow Princess is a beautiful pure white flower. Well, I say it is pure white, but the inside has a little bit of a hint of yellow, like the throat is a little yellow, which complements very nicely with the Mini Vista. But this is going to be a low growing, more in this case because I'm putting it in the landscape, it's going to act a little bit more like a ground cover. It is, out of all the alyssums, I believe this one is the most vigorous, 10 to 16 inches. Now that says tall. In the landscape here, not going to be that tall because otherwise you'd be like, Jenny, that should go in the back. It's going to go more out than it is going to go up for me. It does have that trailing habit. So if you're going to put it in a container, this would be your spiller. Your minimum spacing is 18 inches. Your max is 2 feet. I again will go for that 18 inches. Snow Princess, very vigorous. The things that we have figured out with the sweet alyssums for us in my garden, North Carolina, Zone 7B, really hot, humid days and nights in the throes of summer. If you let this dry out, it does not recover very well. That is why we're going to put it here in the landscape, and especially right where those plants are. If when we get rain, like we had evidently a really good thunderstorm last night, Jenny slept through it, but some of that, like the water goes to that area. There is irrigation in this bed, but with your sweet alyssums, they do like it nice and consistently moist, lots of water here in our garden where we are. Again, if it dries out, it does not do well. So for me, if I put it in a hanging basket and it's not on irrigation, then it just does not perform well because I don't keep enough water on it. So this is going to be a great, wonderful ground cover. I am going to push it back just a little bit. I do want it to spill over onto the pathway, but not completely like take it over. And it has the most delicious fragrance to it. It's very sweet, hence this is why it's called Sweet Alyssum, but super vigorous. Pollinators love it. It is going to be fantastic. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is get everything placed and then we'll start to plant. So I got a little bit of design time on my hands to figure out exactly where I'm going to place these, how many I'm going to use, and all the fun stuff. So let's just have some fun and get these babies in the ground. Okay, so I got them placed, and I think I'm happy with it. The wind is not my friend right now because especially like the ageratums and some of the petunias, they're nice and have good foliage up top, so the wind blows and boop, off they go. But basically I just want to kind of wrap around the fountain knowing that my daffodil foliage is going to be gone, right? The smaller ones between the Mini Vista Indigos, they are on their way out. Like, I did not cover them when we were putting the planting mix down. It's just that they have very thin foliage on them, and they are on the way out of here. You want to leave your daffodil foliage up so that it can get all that great energy from the sun for next year's flowers. Pretty soon it's going to go dormant. So when it starts to turn yellow and very limp, then you can cut it back, which for the little thin ones is not going to be very long. My other ones in the back, that's yellow sailboat, it'll be a little bit longer, but that's okay. I'm planning, and that's just going to kind of blend in to the gorgeousness of the annuals. So what I'm going to do is, because we added that great planting mix, I'm not going to have to like really dig back into my native soil. So I just have my little hand trowel. So I am just going to dig my little hole, throw some slow release fertilizer in there from Proven Winners, and then plop them in the ground and then bring back the planting mix around them. When you're planting your annuals, you can go deeper than traditionally like your perennials or your shrubs. We have thick red clay, right? So I always tell you to plant them a little high. Annuals are much more forgiving, so you can plant them kind of ground level. That is what I will be doing. So I'm going to start with the Mini Vista Indigos, and then I'm going to work my way back here to the fountain. But yeah, it's going to be fun. Cannot wait to see these things just like explode and take off and be gorgeous. It's going to be so much fun. Love this time of year. All right, my friends, so this morning's work is now complete, and I could not be happier to have these sweet things in the ground. I just expect beautiful things out of this flower bed. It does feel really good to have this done. Just to recap, right? Mini Vista Indigo, all here in front of the David Austin roses. I probably space them more on the maximum spacing from each other. I would say it's probably about that 18 to 20 inches apart. I kind of started to do that, but just because of last year where I had things way too close, I'm more on the spreading out stage right now because I really want the roses to shine here and to be the star of the show. And of course, I could always come back and add more petunias in there if I wanted to. So they are in the ground, good to go. And then the Artist Blue Ageratums, the Super Petunia Mini Vista Yellow, and then Snow Princess herself is in the ground. Love it. This is my first time putting Ageratums in the ground. So far, like instantly, I love the look. I love how they're nice and upright. I love the color of the foliage, the flower, everything is beautiful. Those yellows are going to fill in quite nicely. And then, of course, Snow Princess is going to take off. I told you we got rain last night. It is really wet right where those Snow Princesses are, and that is what's perfect for that spot. Those plants in that spot is because they are just gonna soak up that water and just go crazy and love it. I did go ahead and wrap them around down by the sidewalk, the little path rather, going through the flower bed, just to kind of tie that in. Again, if it spills over onto the flagstone, that is not a problem. If it ever gets too aggressive for you or comes out and is in, you know, being a bully plant, which is not a bully plant, but right, it gets a little out of control, don't be afraid to take your scissors, your clippers, and just prune it back. It will do quite nicely. I ended up using 20 of the Mini Vista Indigos and then 10 each of the Artist Blue, the Super Petunia Mini Vista Yellow, and the Snow Princess. That just kind of gives you an idea of my the number of plants that I used, but this will give us months and months of gorgeous enjoyment and pleasure. Just sitting on the back patio watching them. Everybody got the time-release fertilizer. As far as feeding them, I will start with the water-soluble fertilizer probably within, I don't know, the next week or so. Just depends on the weather and how much rain we get. And feed those. Of course, the more food you give them, the more flowers you're going to have, the more vigorous your growth is going to be. So just keep that in mind, that food equals flowers, and they will do great. So cannot wait to watch this grow and develop, as of course we will keep you updated on how everybody is doing. So appreciate you. Hopefully you got some ideas for your garden, whether you are like me and in the South and you can start putting these sweet things in, or if you are some of those sweet people who are still getting snow and you're covered in snow. Add this to your gardening journal, to your spring shopping list, so that when the weather clears, you can go out and get some of these for your garden. As always, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for gardening with Creekside. Y'all have a great day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.